We're about 3 weeks into the season now as we're recording this. The NBA season has been going for about 10 games for most teams. So we got a good idea of what the teams are looking like, what teams are maybe exceeding expectations, and what teams have just imploded. Milwaukee. 76ers, yeah. The entire Eastern Conference except for 2 teams.
Miami Heat.
Okay.
As of recording, this is the 11th of November. So I'm hoping to get this uploaded within the week so that our power rankings that we're doing today stay pretty relevant. We're not going to do a whole 30-team list because really, who cares who's higher in the power rankings between the Wizards and the Bulls? No one. But we will be doing a top 10. So we all have set up, and we don't know each other's top 10s. We all have set up our power rankings so far into the season of the top 10 NBA teams so far. So we'll see if stuff changes. We'll look back at the end of the season and see if these power rankings stayed kind of the same, if some teams improved or not. But as of right now, these are what our power rankings will be. And let's start with number 1.
I think it's going to be unanimous either way.
We'll see.
It's got to be. You don't want to get too caught up in the recency bias of it, but at the end of the day, there's only one team that hasn't lost a game, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're the best team in the NBA through the first start.
I think you might be right, Zach. I mean, no matter who you've played, 11-0 and it's 11-0, and I think they have faced some tough teams and even, won games in different fashions, whether it's blowout or whether it's clutch time buckets to win last second. And I think the Cavaliers have been tested in all those situations across these 11 games. So I have them number 1 as well.
I was raising my eyebrows because I agree. I agree that they're very good. I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I don't think it's a bad ranking. I think it's probably the smart ranking. I still have Boston number 1. I know they've lost 2 games. To me, that's not a big deal. They're the champions, still reigning champions. They've lost 2 games. I'm still taking Boston as the number 1 team in the NBA. I understand going undefeated. There's nothing you can say, and I'm probably wrong, but I do want to get to Cleveland. Cleveland has been really good, especially the progression of Darius Garland, especially the progression of Evan Mobley offensively as well. We knew he was a defensive anchor, but the way he's progressed this season offensively is what you hoped for when they drafted him, and you're finally seeing it. So I do really like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I just think they eventually during the season they're going to face some of the top teams consistently, and they're not just going to be able to feed on the weak East. And I think the record will come back down to not what we expected at the start of the season, but to some more point of realism. And I think in those matchups, they just kind of lack the top end talent. But that's the only reason I'm going with Boston is because they have Tatum and Brown. But I think Cleveland's great.
I mean, Brown and Tatum.
We're not doing this again. I know you have you guys both have this unreasonable take that Brown is better than Tatum. He's not.
How is it unreasonable? How is it unreasonable?
Guys.
If you're the one who finishes games, if you're the one who the team depends on in clutch situations, I think you should be the best player.
Guys, you guys are so reactionary because literally
MVP.
I'm not reactionary because I've been saying Jaylen Brown is just as good as Jason Tatum since 2020, and then these last playoffs showed me he's actually better.
Brother. Literally last season, you guys, everybody was saying, Jaylen Brown doesn't even have a left hand after the playoffs 2 years ago. Okay? I remember that was the narrative. Okay, bro. He's not better. He's good. He's really good. He's not better than Jason Tatum. I know.
Okay.
You only want to
one thing. Name the things that Jason Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown at.
Shooting and playmaking.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
What are you talking about? You can't just say no as if it's not true.
Jason Tatum shot 25% from 3 in the last playoffs.
In a small sample size, sure. Overall,
the entire playoffs,
the biggest stage of your career. What do you mean small sample size? It's the NBA Finals.
I'm looking up.
What are we talking about?
I know he didn't shoot the best. I'm looking up to see if you're exaggerating that much or not. I don't know.
I don't think I'm really exaggerating.
Oh damn! It was 28% in the playoffs.
I told you.
Ass. Holy shit! I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I told you. I'm not kidding, bro.
Brother,
he couldn't shoot.
Okay,
but he's
shooting 36% from 3 this season. Okay.
Yeah, he's a regular season player. We already know this.
And we're doing regular season rankings. What are we talking about?
He's a reverse Jimmy Butler.
Exactly. Exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly that.
All right, look, we're getting into a different discussion. This is a team ranking, not a player.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not too far off with you guys on the rankings because I do have Cleveland at number 2 in my power rankings. So as much as we talk about the Leastern Conference, and I know Zach loves that term, I do have 2 Eastern teams as the top 2 teams in the league. I don't know how many more we're going to get for the rest of this top 10, but at least at number 2, I have Cleveland. Number 1, I have Boston.
You had me with Cleveland. You lost me. You had me in the first half with Boston. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, I don't think that they're in my top 10. They're just not anywhere near where yours is at.
Literally the defending champions. What are you talking about? I'm a Laker fan. I don't want to do this. Why do I have to be the defender of Boston? The voice of reason for Boston. I'm a Laker fan. Why do I have to be the one that does this?
It's great. They're the defending champion, and I mean, as much as we're gonna give credit to the Cavs for being 11-0 in the East, the Celtics couldn't even be 11-0 in the East, and they played 11 games. So, I mean, you could talk about strength of schedule. They're in the same conference. They're playing the same teams up to this point because East has been playing East, West has been playing West. So it's cool. It's cool that Boston got through 11 and lost 2. Cavs didn't. That's why I have them higher. But. And this is not biased.
It is biased. I knew he was going to do this. I knew he was going to do this.
He has a son.
The best team in the West deserves the number 2 slot in my top 10.
But they're not the best team in the West.
Absolutely, we are. At number 2, I have the Phoenix Suns. 8 wins through the first 10 games, best start in franchise history. This is the best we've been ever in our franchise, and we're playing like the best team in the West, which we are.
Look, you guys have been playing really good. KD is looking vintage. You guys are not the second best team in the league. No, you guys don't have a defense. You guys don't have a defense.
It doesn't matter. We're still winning.
You guys can't be the second best team in the NBA and have no defense. You guys are playing well. You guys are like winning games right now with a defense. Without a defense, you guys are not going to be able to sustain that.
Did we not do the top 10 through right now? Is that not what our rankings are?
Yeah, but it is. But if you're just going off of what the records are, and that was it, then Boston.
I'm going off of what I've watched. I've watched 10 Phoenix Suns games,
and all of them have been
like the best team in the NBA.
No, you haven't. All of the games have been close. Almost all of the games have been close.
Yeah, y'all won in overtime to the Clippers.
Exactly. You guys are playing.
Who only has like Harden and Norman Powell as scoring options.
That's crazy because right before we got on, the first thing Cam says is, "Oh, the Clippers are playing really good."
That is true.
Yeah. No, they are.
Now it's
but there's a subpar talent team.
More importantly,
playing well.
More importantly, y'all needed a game winner to beat the 76ers, and the 76ers. This isn't a spoiler. Are coming nowhere near this power ranking.
I agree, but Tyrese Maxey played well. Yabusele turned into prime LeBron James for some reason, and Paul George was doing his thing. It's not like it's a insane team to beat, but a win is a win. I don't care how you take it in this league.
To both of your points, though, I understand Zach. That's his team. They're 8-2. They have similar records, so it's like if you're gonna have your favorite team with the similar record, you're gonna put them 2. No. I can't be mad at that.
No.
But I do think, Arman, you're being too forecasting and not doing current power rankings. You're trying to see them as a team overall for the entire season, but this is time based, right? So
sure, but you also have to evaluate. You also have to evaluate what fashion they're winning in. It's not a pure like ranking of like, oh, what's your team's record? You have to take into account how the team is playing, what competition they've gone up against.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a
That's
surprise.
What I said to both of your points.
Score.
Okay.
We knew we were going to have to score more points than the rest. We knew we weren't going to get stops. We'd just been outscoring, and that's why we're winning.
Okay.
After all this arguing, I'm finally going to get my second team out. My second team is actually different from both of you. My second team is the OKC Thunder. Back to your point, Arman, seeing their schemes, the way they're playing, the way they're winning games. A lot of their games, I mean, obviously they're having guys scoring. I mean, OKC is probably the best shooting team in the NBA, which makes them elite. And then on top of that, they're running defenses without a center and completely shutting down people, like with freaking Jalen Williams, the short one, at center. And that's impressive. So just seeing how they're running small ball lineups, the way they're able to harass teams on the perimeter and get deflections. that's what made me put them at 2, because I think they have the best defense in the league, honestly.
I don't know about best defense in the league, but it is really good. And if you can play like that without having like a shot blocker down low who's gonna, not be able to be in the game later because he's a liability, Rudy Gobert. I think that makes you really elite because you can still keep your shooters on the floor late into the game. So I don't hate that ranking, and it's not gonna be too long before I mention them. So, but I will not be mentioning them quite yet. At my number 3, I do not have the OKC Thunder, and much to Zach's chagrin, I don't have the Suns either. I have the Denver Nuggets. What are you talking about? Oh, Phoenix Suns, that's fine. 8-2, but 8-2 Denver Nuggets. That's not okay.
The Denver Nuggets aren't 8-2; they're 7-3.
7-3, whatever. Fine. My defense is this: Nikola Jokic is still Nikola Jokic, and he's playing incredible. I don't know if you guys have seen the stat lines, but they're absolutely insane every single game. Okay, and this is for the now, not just for the first 10 games of the season. It's also for what have you done most recently in the past week for me. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they've won the past 5 games, I want to say.
They've also beat some really subpar teams, to be fair.
Okay, but they've also beat the Dallas Mavericks.
So did we. What's your point?
By 2. They beat them by 2. But when they win in a close game, they get the credit for beating the teams. But when we do it, you don't have to.
I literally never said anything about the Mavericks game. I mentioned the other games like the Clippers and the 76ers, who you also only beat by 2. Nuggets have won.
Brooklyn Nets in overtime.
Okay,
they went to overtime with the Nets. You're talking about the Sixers.
This is what I'm saying. They started the season not as well, okay? But again, what have you done for me lately? Past 5 games, they've won 5 in a row. Blew out the Jazz, as you should. Played way too close against the Raptors. I understand that. But then beat the Thunder. Okay, Cam, you can't have anything against that because you put them at number 2. Yeah. By 2. But they still beat the number 2 team in Cam's power rankings, and then beat his Heat team. Again, blew them out because the Heat are struggling, and then beat the Mavericks by 2. Okay, I don't think this is a bad ranking just because they had early season struggles. Okay.
I just think this ranking is kind of funny because you mentioned the way the team's going to play towards the future with the Suns, but you don't mention that with the Nuggets. They've lost a lot of their shooting and a lot of their depth. Yeah. They're depending on Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, and Julian Strother to make up the losses they have. And maybe these guys will become great role players this year and blossom and really propel the Nuggets. But my point is, the games that Jokic doesn't put up a 40-point triple-double, they're not going to win the game because you're relying on guys like Westbrook and Christian Brown to shoot consistently from 3 and give you the spacing that you need. And I don't see that holding up for an entire season.
Okay.
But anyway, for my number 3, I'm going with a guy, someone who's already been mentioned. I'm going with the Boston Celtics. I mean, not a whole lot of explaining I got to do. Previous champions, they're winning, in good fashion. But honestly, one of the top teams they did end up facing, they lost to. Now, I do know they were missing some players, but they lost to the Golden State Warriors. You're the Celtics. You shouldn't be losing to the Golden State Warriors with the type of personality you have. Even if you are missing Jaylen Brown.
It's one game in the regular season. It's one game. To a team, by the way, that's regardless of if they're not high or higher on our list, they're 8-2, by the way. It's not like this is a bad Warriors team. They're 8-2.
I know. I'm just saying though. Yeah. But nonetheless, I have them 3rd. They're hot. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
I don't hate it. I don't agree with it. I do not have the Celtics in my top 3.
Bro, defending champions have only lost 2 games, and you don't have them in your top 3.
No, I don't.
You said this was an unbiased ranking, brother.
It is an unbiased ranking. I think there are 3 better teams in the NBA than the Boston Celtics. I've named 2 of them. My 3rd one, I'm going to agree with Cameron as his number 2. I have the Oklahoma City Thunder at the 3rd seat. You can call it bias all you want. And maybe maybe it's hard not to look through an unbiased lens because I'm a Suns fan, but they've been playing the best in the West, in my opinion. And I also think the Thunder are right up there too. Both of those teams are beating Boston through the first 10 games in a 7-game series. Not a question.
No, they're
Yes, they
not.
are. We're giving Boston.
You
the
don't
work.
have the
We are giving
defense.
Boston
You
the
don't
work.
You don't have any defense.
That's fine.
You don't
They
have
can
any
score
defense.
120. We're gonna score 125.
Oh
That's
my
fine.
God. I can't take this.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
a-okay. We've already learned that teams are gonna score against us, and that is okay. I'm fine with that because we're gonna score more.
Cook this man in the comments. Cook this man.
Cook him, please.
I don't think they're a top 3 team. I think they're right outside because at number 4, I have the Boston Celtics. They're not down low. I'm not gonna
Jesus
drop them out the
Christ.
top 5.
Defending
But they are my
champions.
number 4.
Defending champions. I hate that you guys are making me do this to a Celtics team that I hate because I'm a Laker fan.
Bro loves Boston.
Dude,
Bro loves
I hate Boston. I hate Boston fans. They're the defending champions. Have only lost 2 games so far this season, and somehow they're dropping spot. I don't look. Cleveland's undefeated. You have them 1. That's fine. Boston cannot not be your guys' number 2. That's where I have a problem. And again, Zach, I would have had no problem with your ranking of OKC number 3 because I have OKC here at 4. Okay, I would have no problem with it if they weren't above Boston because I don't think, as of right now, you can put them above Boston. But I think they're really good.
Absolutely.
And I think they are continuing to take step after step. You know, 2 seasons ago, they were a borderline play-in team in a very tough Western Conference, very young team. They go last year, get to, what was it? They were second-round exits, right? So, I mean, they're progressing every year. So, on the trajectory that they're on, they could be in for a finals appearance. Who knows, right? So I very much like them. And again, like Cam said, I think they have a really good defense. When you can play all of those shooters and play small ball and have all of your good shooting guys on the floor and still play good defense, I think that's a recipe, especially in today's NBA, for a great team. And when you have a arguably top 5, and honestly at this point might be unarguably top 5 player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, that makes you a top team.
Yeah, for my number 4, I have Zach's guys. I got the Phoenix Suns. I have them at 4, obviously, because of what Zach said, but also because of what Arman said. They haven't beat a whole lot of great teams, and the teams they have beat, it's been in the final minutes of the game, which I'm glad you're able to get clutch buckets. But I feel like because of their lack of defense, they're keeping teams in the game that should not be in the game with, a team as offensively talented as they are. But nonetheless, they're 8-2. They're hot. They're winning games in good fashion. And I honestly think they'll remain in the top 4 for the NBA season. So I'm gonna have them at 4.
I don't think they'll stay in the top 4 the whole season. But
Yes, we will.
I don't know about that.
Armand
I think
doesn't
they
even
will.
have them in their top 4, which is crazy because he's mad that we beat him the second time
Celtics.
around after he got all cocky after his first one.
I
and we came back and beat
literally
him.
didn't brag at all about it. What are you talking about?
We did it internally.
Sure, internally, but I knew we were playing them again. I wanted to wait to see if we won it again.
I think, honestly, I never thought I would defend Zach, but I think you're hating a little hard on the
I'm
Suns
not.
right now.
Literally,
Especially
look
putting
at-
the
look at-
Nuggets above
No,
them. This is supposed to be for right now. And you put the Nuggets.
Okay, listen to me. Okay, literally one less win. Okay, and they've won 5 in a row. How is that like? Oh, it's such a disrespect. It's one less win, and they won 5 in a row.
And it took them overtime
okay.
to beat the Brooklyn Nets. That's
and,
why.
Okay, it took the Suns overtime to beat the Clippers, and they
Yeah, but the Clippers are a way better team.
and they almost lost. They almost lost to the 76ers.
But they didn't.
Okay, but they didn't. But
The Nuggets almost lost to the Brooklyn Nets, and we're
Okay.
losing a lot in the first couple games.
I get his what did you do for me now in the last week? And
Yeah.
if he's basing it off of that, sure. But when we rattled off 7 straight, I mean, it just has no
Okay.
bearing on it, I guess.
I'm not saying like there's a huge gap between these teams. And again, I'm not super
Not even in
hating.
your top 4.
Okay, but they're at my 5. If you guys are just get off my ass, they're at number 5. Jesus Christ. Relax. Okay, I don't. You guys are playing a bunch of teams close that you guys shouldn't be. And to me, the difference really between you guys and the Nuggets and the Thunder is that the Nuggets and the Thunder have Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I know KD and Devin Booker have been playing well, but those two guys are going to be perennial MVP candidates. And KD's great, Devin Booker's great. At this point in their careers, I don't know that they're consensus top 5, almost like basically top 3 guys in the league. That's the difference. That's the only difference. Okay.
Yeah, I think again, I hate defending Zach and the Suns.
No, you don't. You literally don't. You love.
I want to make this clear.
You love opposing me. You love opposing me. That's what you love to do. You
has been playing at an MVP level. KD has been playing phenomenally. You can talk about the Suns defense because I agree. They're sus defensively. But saying, I don't think they have anybody who could be an arguably top 5 at this point in their career. KD is having one of his most efficient and greatest scoring seasons of his entire career. Since aside from the Warriors days, his Thunder days, he's more efficient in that right now. And he is winning games like straight skill, rip,
by himself.
Jumper. He's doing it by himself. So I think you saying KD is not top 5 shows me you haven't been watching the Suns.
I have been watching the Suns. Okay, but if I have my doubts that he's going to keep this level of production up for the entire season because he's 36.
You moving the goalposts, bro.
We're
basing off of today.
You have to go off of power rankings and what we've seen so far this season, but also what I believe this team to be at this point in the season.
I think we have different lists. I think we have different lists.
Yeah, we're power ranking for today. You're trying to forecast too much.
It's all a part of power rankings. Okay, you have to go off of what you've seen so far this season. But by the way, if you watch college football, they don't just put, because Indiana's the undefeated team right now, they don't just put them number 1 because they go off of what they believe the team to be.
This isn't college football though, this is the NBA.
Exactly, but it's the same concept.
And they go off strength of schedule. So the Celtics' strength of schedule would be less than every single team in the West up to this point.
Yeah, probably.
But they also just won the NBA championship. These teams that are competing for championships still get favored and get the benefit of the doubt because of what they did last season and what you believe the team to be with the way that the roster is constructed. Okay? I'm not saying the Suns are bad because I have them number 5. Okay, and you look at the teams I have above them. It's the Celtics, the defending champions, Cavaliers, who are 11-0, the Nuggets, who have 1 less win and have won 5 games in a row and have the best player in the league on their team, and then the Thunder, who you literally have at number 2, Cam. And you guys are giving me all this heat. I have the Suns at 5, and those are my 4 above them. And you guys are acting like I'm out of my mind.
It's less of the fact that they're number 5 and more of the fact of your reasoning for putting them at 5. Yeah. It seems like it only pertains to them.
It doesn't though.
You're jumping back and forth between points.
That's what it's not like, oh my God, I can't believe they have the Suns at 5.
But I'm forecasting what they're going to be in the future. Oh, but they don't have any defense. Oh, but they only win games in the last couple of minutes. Oh, but the Nuggets, they won in the last couple of minutes, but they have Jokic and they won 5 in a row. So I think I'm going to give it. It's just like your reasoning isn't consistent. Like every time
is consistent.
You jump to another reason.
I'm giving you the same exact reasons. The only differentiator, because these teams are so close and it's so early in the season, I'm giving you my reasons for the differentiator. Yes, I understand that the Nuggets are winning close games, just like the Suns. My only thing that I've literally been saying, the reason I said it for the Suns and I didn't say it for the Nuggets is number 1, because you guys haven't mentioned the Nuggets in your top 2. The reason I brought it up for the Suns in the first place was because Zach put them at number 2. That's the only reason I brought them up. I would have said the same exact thing if one of you put the Nuggets above the Celtics.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Did you say you're 4, Zach?
Yeah, Celtics were my 4. This one might ruffle some feathers. At number 5.
I think we have the same
at number 5.
5.
No. Well, we might, but I was just kidding. I was just saying that to see if I could get a reaction. At number 5, I do have the Denver Nuggets. I agree with what you're saying. I think Jokic having triple-double caliber games. And is he going to do that for the remainder of the season? Yes. I'm not saying you're wrong in that aspect. I'm just going off of what we've seen now. I get the, well, can this be upheld? Will the Cavaliers go undefeated? No. they're going to lose games. They might lose one in the next 5, but they're 11-0 up to this point. So you got to give them the credit for that. I think Denver is good, but like Cam said, everything he said is having to rely on Christian Braun, who I think can be solid, but it's just not the kind of guy you want to lean on if Jokic isn't hitting and Jamal Murray's been in and out. So they're going to get better when he comes back. But I do have Denver at number 5.
Well, I might be the one to ruffle some feathers then, because my number 5 is none other, and I might be very reactionary for this, but is none other than the Golden State Warriors. And I've watched some of their games. I think the most impressive thing for me is even though their strength of schedule hasn't been the best, the Golden State Warriors system allows for, when Curry goes out, their other guys to really thrive. And I think they capitalized on a system that worked very well for them early in Curry's career when they had lots of really solid role players. And so now I think they're going back to that, as well as having a system where Buddy Hield can feel as free as possible. And then you have all their other shooters being able to thrive. I mean, nobody on this team plays more than 30 minutes.
What other shooters? Who else they got?
Well, Wiggins has been
odds.
Wiggins has kind of returned back to his 2021 form, you know.
Wiggins isn't a shooter. Cut that out.
He's not a shooter, but he's shooting, and he's shooting pretty well this season.
Everybody can shoot the wall.
Not everybody can shoot the ball.
Nurkic is putting up threes. That doesn't make him a shooter.
You get what I'm saying. But my point is, a lot of role players are thriving in this system, and it's a system where teams are going to have a lot of trouble because they're going to be constantly fresh and not having to play Stephen Curry a lot of minutes.
Do we consider Wiggins a role player? I think he's kind of sunken into that role. I don't think want him to be a role player.
I think he's a star role player.
I don't think they want him to be. I think that he's supposed to be their second option.
Yeah.
He's just not.
I think that, like, if you're seeing them, especially as like a top 5 team, he can't be a role player.
I don't think Wiggins is in a star tier. I don't even think he's in an all-star tier.
No,
but he's in that fringe all-star tier where it's like he's better than all the role players, but he's worse than most of the all-stars.
Sure, but like if you're like a fringe all-star tier player, to me that's not a role player. But
I think in today's game it is. But anyway, we're kind of going on a tangent.
We're splitting hairs here. I mean, it's
but my point is, I like what I see from them. I think they can keep it up. They've already beaten the Celtics, which obviously I've already mentioned. They had some guys out, but I think in the end of the day, they are the Celtics.
Yeah, and so like that's a great win, and especially with how highly I think of the Celtics, even though that's not as highly as you guys think of them. I think that's a great win, and you know. As much as I disagree with the fact that you having the Warriors above the Nuggets, I don't think that should be. I disagree with that, but they do have a better record, and I recognize that they're playing really, really well, which is why I have them at number 6 here. So, I like a lot of what you're saying. Stephen Curry is showing no signs of stopping, and I do think the reason I have them outside the top 5 is because of. Like, is Wiggins that really true number 2 option on like a great team? I don't know, but they're playing really well right now. They have the shooting. It doesn't look like they're missing Klay Thompson, and if anything, the anchor is gone. So so far through the first 10 games, they're playing really well. So I like what I see. I have them at number 6.
And to your point, like maybe it's because the way I'm thinking, I don't think Wiggins has to be a clear-cut number 2 for this team to go really far. I think
who steps up?
I think in a really like a playoff situation, you do need at least number 2, even if it's not an all-star number 2 option. You still need a clear number 2 option.
I think Buddy Hield has been that for them.
Okay.
Score wise,
sure.
NBA team.
On the Warriors, yeah. I mean, he's playing. Okay. Let me get this straight. I don't think he's Klay Thompson, because on the defensive side, Klay Thompson was a top 5 player when he was at his best, I would say. But I think offensively, he's been able to give them very similar of what he was able to give them in his later years of that shooting. I mean, but he was shooting around 40 or so % on 21 points per game. I think if he can even normalize himself to 17, 18
Which
on a
is what
consistent basis.
That's what he's back down to after the last 2 games. 3 points and 8 points in the last 2 games.
But did they win?
They lost to the Cavs, and then they did beat OKC. So which is why I think this team is really good. But again, 3 points and then 8 points. So I think I think he's come back down to, he's going to be above that, like his averages, but he's come back down to like Buddy Hield, what he's going to be for the rest of the season. So
I don't hate that look of it. Of as far as I compare him to like kind of what Klay Thompson was post injury, and not like you kind of want this guy to be the go-to option. Buddy Hield hasn't been the go-to option since he got drafted. And even then, it was like, maybe. But it's always nice to have solid shooters in Golden State, and they thrive off it, obviously. And hell has frozen over because me and Arman have a team in the same slot for the same reasons. At number 6, I have the Golden State Warriors.
Okay. All right. So our rankings of the Warriors aren't too far off, 5, 6, and 6. So, Cam, who do you have it at number 6?
At number 6, I have your guys that you're very high on. I have the Denver Nuggets, and the reason I have them this low is because I mentioned earlier they've lost a lot of their depth. They honestly pulled a post 2020 Los Angeles Lakers if I've ever seen it. They got rid of a lot of their key talent that got them to the championship. And so now they're relying on, like, I don't want to say subpar, but maybe run-of-the-mill role players that aren't going to be able to do what your previous guy. I mean, if you remember, they had Bruce Brown. They had KCP.
Yeah.
They had Jeff Green. They had lots of really solid guys. And now they're relying on lots of the young talent. And so I'm not high on that move, but we'll see how it works out for them.
I got 2 things. Number 1, I think that's it's different than the way the Lakers fell apart because it just happened to be like, okay, that championship run is very rare to have a lot of those guys on your team at the same time for the price that they had them at. And so when you win a championship like that and you show that you're great role players, their price tag just got a lot higher, and they unfortunately couldn't afford all those guys. The way the Lakers blew it up was they were stupid and let all of those role players go and traded them to get Russell Westbrook, a guy who didn't fit with the team. So to me, it's a little different. It is funny though that Russell Westbrook is also on the Nuggets there. But number 2, you were flaming me for like my ranking of the Suns and like how different it was to the Nuggets, and even though, you know, it's going off of the same reasoning, brother, you have a larger gap between the Nuggets and the Suns in your rankings than I do. And yet you're yelling at me because they're very similar.
No.
At least not you, but
it wasn't because of the standings. Like we said, it was because of the reasoning. It wasn't because of where you put them. I don't care if you put them at 5 or 10. It was the fact that he has the same flipped reasoning that I did. He has the Suns that high because KD is a MVP caliber player and they're outscoring their opponents, and you know the wins are wins and whatever. But with the Nuggets, they lost a lot of talent, and it's, you know, is Jokic going to be able to keep this up every night?
That's not the same reason though. It's very different as to why I'm having that difference. I'm saying the way their roster is constructed, they lost a lot of what made them a good team, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep up what they're doing because Jokic is literally having to put up 40-point triple doubles to win games. But he can't do that every game.
But how is that different from my thinking that the Suns aren't going to be able to keep this up because they're beating teams very close? Again, only beat the 76ers by 2 points, and KD is having to carry them, and their defense is not that good because they don't have any good defensive players, and that's why that's going to bring them down. I don't understand how that's a different thinking.
I see what you're saying, Arman.
Yeah.
Because the other teams are hotter. Plus, what I'm saying, it's not like
the Nuggets. I mean, the Suns
a win
have
is a win.
Okay, but
a win is a win.
They have one more win, and you say they're hotter. The Nuggets have won 5 in a row.
I don't think. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I don't think you can hold it against the Nuggets for the fact of Jokic won't be able to do that because he has been doing it. So basing it off of what it has been, he has been doing it. Will he do it every game? No, but to this point, he has been.
I think the tops like 3 through 6, I think are very close. So I don't see a problem necessarily with your rankings, but I don't understand why you were getting so on me and then you have a larger gap between those teams than I do.
It was because you were hating on the Suns.
I wasn't. I literally have the Suns. I know he is a Suns lover. He loves to say he hates agreeing with you, but loves to agree with you. That's what I've noticed.
He does. He really hates it.
No, he loves to agree with
you. And as we move forward, I'm going to take a page out of his book because as much as it pains me to say this, as much as I hate to disagree with Cameron, at number 7, and I will eat my words for what I said about them preseason, about what I said about them finishing, because through these first 11 games, there have been big wins over good teams. I'm going to take the Houston Rockets at number 7.
What are you talking about?
Yo, that's respect. Hey, that's respect. That's respect.
Look at what they've been doing. Look at what the Rockets have been doing all season long. It's really not. If you look at it, they beat the Mavericks, solid team. They beat the Grizzlies, solid team. And they blew the hell. Well, actually, they got blown out by the Thunder, but that's what is supposed to happen. They've been playing good.
They have been playing good. I'm not saying they haven't been playing good, but come on.
Took the Warriors into overtime.
Look, they're playing really well. The progression is there. Is Jalen Green going to be able to keep it up? I don't know. To put them but like I'm not going to disrespect them just off of like, I don't expect this progression to go and keep going. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just like 7 seems high.
That is a little high, but I like it. I like it too. I like it too. I'm not mad at it.
And it may be the fact that I never expected to see the Rockets with 7 wins through the first 11 games. So it might be going off of recency, but it's been exciting basketball to watch. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay. Cam, do you have your Rockets at 7?
No.
Thank you.
I don't. I didn't want to be disgustingly biased. I didn't want to have them at high. And also there's some issues with them, but I'll get into that later. For number 7, I have a team that made a deep run last year. I would have had them higher had they not sold their identity away. But at number 7, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think why I have them this low is pretty obvious. Julius Randle. Didn't like him before this season, and then putting him on the Timberwolves made me sad because I don't like them anymore either. Mm-hmm. I just don't think he has the same passion defensively to buy in that Cat did. As well as I don't think he's nearly as good as a complimentary offensive player next to a guy like Ant, and especially next to another big man like Gobert. And you can already see these growing pains early in the season. They've been able to win games, but I do think there are some serious weaknesses that they have to address with this new roster. And that's why I have them at 7.
To me, that's kind of the reasoning of why. And I'll get into my 7. It's not the Timberwolves. That's why I don't have them 7. They're 6-4. They're still finding their identity, and I think they can figure it out to a point where they could eventually be a top 5 team. And I would hope they are with the progression of Anthony Edwards. As I know Zach is a hater of him, but I see the progression.
I don't hate him. He's overhyped. People put him on too much of a pedestal.
I didn't see it last season or like when you started this he's overhyped thing. I do see it a little bit now because the hype has gone even further. I think he was perfectly rated last season, regular season wise. I think the hype's gone a little high. It'll come down though. I think it'll come down. But I think the growing pains is kind of why I'm still a little bit hesitant on them. But I'm not like they're not going to fall too far out of this. They're not going to be off of my rankings here. So I don't hate the ranking, but I think it's a little high. But again, that wasn't the most outlandish number 7 that we've had so far. So
we're going off of now. I'm going off of the first 11 games. I've never been excited to watch Houston Rockets basketball since James Harden. And this is an exciting team. Like, there's just lots of young talent.
I just think if you're being realistic, are they the 7th best NBA team right now?
As of now, yes.
I don't think so. And obviously,
in the
Cam.
NBA right now.
Obviously, Cam.
They finish at 7. No.
Okay, but whatever. I guess you guys, you just have a different like concept of what a power ranking is. But to me, I don't think they're this. Even right now, I don't think they're playing like the 7th best team in the league, even if the record is like around there. To me, at number 7, you might call it bias. I don't think it's incredible bias, or else they would have been like top 5 if it was incredible bias. But I do have my Lakers. Why are you rolling your eyes like that's a bad ranking, Zach? It's not.
I don't even have them on my list,
bro. If you actually don't, that's ridiculous. I understand we lost to the Pistons. That's why they're this low at number 7. I don't have them crazy high. Anthony Davis is playing like an MVP. I believe he's top of the MVP ladder right now, as he should be. Defensive and offensive superstar right now. And I think that's what I like the most about why I have the Lakers in the top 7 here is because, they've had games where it's been a little mismanaged, but I think JJ Redick is an actual NBA coach, unlike Darvin Ham. So I think that's the biggest difference maker for me of why I have the Lakers in the top 10. And, they can be a team that's contending. The reason I have them this low is just because they're still tinkering with the starting lineup. They're starting Cam Reddish now. So they're playing around with it, put D'Lo to the bench, see if that's a little better. I still think if they want to actually compete for a championship, they need to get another consistent 3-point option. But again, that's not what the team is right now. We're not projecting trades right now. To be in that top 5, they need to do something like that. As of right now, I think the 7th best team, because at the end of the day, they still have Anthony Davis and they still have LeBron James.
I mean, as much of a glorious king lover I am myself, I don't even have the Lakers at 8. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay. They're decent. They're solid. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said about Anthony Davis. He's playing out of his mind right now, and we know he can when he stays healthy. And I'm not going to use the fact that an injury is on the way to go against him. I'm not going to use that. But at number 8, I also have the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think that kind of the reasons what Cam said is just the reason why I have them just a little bit lower, because Julius Randle is Julius Randle, and Ant's been playing okay. Like he's been going crazy. He's showing flashes. I think he was a little bit more consistent last year, but still, I never treated him like the second coming of Jesus like everybody else did, which is why I say he's overrated. And that's not to say I don't like him. I think he's a fantastic basketball player. I think he's one of the faces of the franchise coming up for young stars. But it's just the fact that everybody's already trying to put him in a conversation that he doesn't belong in. That's why I think he's overrated. But I do have the Timberwolves at 8.
Okay, real quick before you guys say anything else, I got to hook up my camera to the charger real quick.
I do have the Lakers on my list, by the way. Don't tell them.
I figured.
I didn't want to, but I was like, they're good. They're not bad. I have them at 9. Should I put them at 10 on purpose?
Nah. For my number 8, I have a team that you guys might not even have in your top 10, but I'm going to give them respect. I like what I see in their rookie. I think he's going to make some strides this season and set himself apart as a great NBA starter. Number 8 is the Memphis Grizzlies for me.
Are we talking about Zach Edey?
I guess. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so let me get this straight. Neither of you have ranked the Lakers yet?
Nope.
I told you, they're not in my top 10.
I hate you guys. I hate you guys.
I told you, bro. They're not a top 10 NBA team.
You're not telling me that the Rockets are a better team right now than the Lakers right now.
They absolutely are.
Bro, stop. You guys do this just to piss me off. I know it.
Alperen Sengun over Anthony Davis any day of the week.
Yeah, see? Yeah, it's ridiculous takes like that gives this show the name that it does, because like this is
that's my worst take.
Yeah,
give me Jalen Green over Reeves.
I mean,
obviously.
Yeah.
Who's your LeBron James?
I almost said Asar.
Give me Dylan Brooks. give me Dylan Brooks. Give me Ahmed Thompson.
Yeah, see, like you guys just saying the things out loud makes it obvious why the take is ridiculous. Memphis, look, I think they're a good team, which is again why last year when we did our like projections, I had Memphis as like a good team before Ja got suspended, and then it was after Ja got suspended, but I thought they would be a good team once he came back. Then he got hurt 4 games later. So this is why I like them, because when he's healthy, this is what they can be. So I don't mind the ranking of them. I just mind that it's above the Lakers, but I don't mind the ranking of them. They did beat the Lakers, so that's fair. For me, my 8th team, I think it would be a little ridiculous and overreactionary if I had them any lower. I do have the Timberwolves at number 8. So me and Zach are again aligned on that one. Again, I think the reason we all had them this low is just because they're figuring stuff out. So I think if they figure stuff out and figure out their identity again and can get Julius Randle to buy in, they'll shoot up the rankings. But as of right now, they're number 8. They're 6-4. They haven't been playing amazing. I worry that the team is not as good as last year. That's really what it comes down to. I just worry that the construction of this team is not as good as it was last year, which is the wrong direction to be going in with a young star. You should be progressing every year like the OKC Thunder are. And to me, it feels like the opposite direction. So, but we'll have to see.
For my number 9, these guys are finally going to make the list. The Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay. All right, good. If they
have them at number 9.
If they were lower,
I have them in the top 10.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not going to put them at 10. I'm not going to disrespect them. I think, like you said, JJ Redick is an NBA coach. I think they've maximized who Anthony Davis can be. I think we're finally seeing him as the number 1 option, although we've been waiting on it for about 5 years.
Yeah.
I think we're finally seeing that out of him. So I think all those things puts them at 9. I think they're probably going to float around this spot for the remainder of the season, roughly. We'll see. But I think they're a better team than last year simply because they have better coaching and personnel.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Again, like I said, I think to really be a contender, they need to make a trade. So we'll see if they do that or if they stand pat. But I think to be an actual contender, they need to make a trade. So.
AKA get rid of D'Lo.
It's probably the asset they have to flip. Yeah,
this isn't a top 10 NBA team, man. It's not.
Stop this.
They're okay, but at number 9, I do have the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
I do think.
All right. Okay.
I was gonna hold off and put them at 10 on purpose, but they got us once. Through one of our 2 losses that we have.
Yes.
And then we figured it out, so we're going on a little run. But I like you said, AD is number 1 in MVP voting. I think he should have won Depoy last year. I think he got snubbed on that. I think the Wemby hype was deserved, but also AD played the best defense he ever played in his career.
It was Gobert.
It was Gobert.
Yeah.
The Gobert hype, obviously. And then Wemby, the 2 finalists were Gobert and Wemby. The fact that AD had like 3.2 blocks or whatever it was, and his name wasn't in the conversation was crazy.
Yeah. and it happens every year, and it's going to happen year after year again. Gobert is a liability in the playoffs when the games matter the most, but the voters, the writers just forget about that conveniently during the regular season when they're voting for DPOY. So.
And then obviously LeBron's LeBron. I'll never put anything with LeBron in it outside of a top 10. So
okay,
you're lucky the glorious king is on your team. That's the only reason you got a top 10 nod.
Okay. All right. I still think they're a little low on your guys' list. I don't think it's outlandish. I just think it's a little outlandish that you have the Rockets and Grizzlies above them, but I don't think the place is too outlandish, I guess. Number 9, again, maybe I'm going too much off of, you're just going off of last year. But to me, that's what a power ranking is keeping in mind what you've done so far this season and what you were what I still expect you to be right now as an NBA team. And a little bit of that goes back to last season and what they can do. And what I know they can do when they're firing on all cylinders is be in the NBA Finals. To me, at number 9, I can't put them outside the top 10. I have the Dallas Mavericks. I can't. I'm sorry. I understand right now they're out of the playoff rankings. I understand. To me, this is still a team that's a top 10 NBA team if we're just talking about talent and what I expect them to be. I still think I can't put them too much lower.
I don't hate it.
I'm not gonna lie, you slandering Zach for putting the Rockets high and then putting.
But this is different. That's number
5 Mavericks on this list.
Literally, that's number 7. This is number 9. That's like not the same. That's not the same. Okay. I look. I understand. I get that. They would also be the 3 seed. I understand they're the 11 seed in the West right now. They'd be the 3 seed in the East. Okay?
Okay, but they're not in the East. They're in the West.
I understand. Okay, but that doesn't affect where they are in their conference. Does not affect who they are as a team. Like
they lost to the Rockets.
Okay, yeah,
they did.
The Rockets beat the Suns.
I understand.
We did beat that.
Yeah, the Lakers also beat the Suns. And also the 70.
And we beat y'all back.
Yeah, okay. But one game does not define a team. If that's okay,
They are.
If that's what it was, the Warriors would be above the Celtics then. But they're not. Are the
We
Warriors?
know how Arman's judging his team.
Are the Nuggets better than the Thunder?
No.
Okay.
I don't have them above them.
Okay, the Nuggets beat the Thunder. Again, like you don't go off of just one game, one result.
No.
Okay.
No.
I think it makes sense as far as how you viewed them all. Like I would expect to hear that team based off of how your list is set up. I expect it. It's not a crazy name to hear off of that.
Look, I just think when you have a player like Luka Doncic, and it's not like, this is a team that was this way last season and they're still carrying the same trajectory, but I'm like just bullish on them because of Luka Doncic. This is a team that was in the NBA Finals last season. They've started off a little slow. I understand that, but I still think, to me, they're a top 10 NBA team because of what I saw from the same construction, basically, of this roster last season, making the NBA Finals, and a team that has a top 3 NBA player. So it's not like I have them top 5. They're at 9. They're this low for a reason, but it's a 1 game difference between them and the Timberwolves.
Fair.
That's fair.
Also, this is the other thing to keep in mind. Their losses have been very close. I understand they're losses. Losses are losses. Wins are wins. But they lost by 1 to the Suns, lost by 2 to the Nuggets. That's all I'm saying.
I don't hate it. I don't. My reasoning isn't the exact same for why I have the team that I do at number 10. I guess this one was kind of a little bit more of what you expect to see from a team down the line, but also they've had a good start to the season. Rounding out my top 10, there's no more teams from the East. I just had the 2. It is going to be West from then on out, and it's stuck that way. At number 10, I have the Sacramento Kings. I think that they've been solid. 6-5, above 500. They played tough times, played tough talent, but kind of like Arman's been saying this whole time, De'Aaron Fox has been a clutch player of the year. He's got off to a little bit of a slow start. Going to take a little bit more time for DeMar DeRozan to fit in, but I mean, their losses have been close, and their wins have been good wins. They beat us. So if you can beat the Suns, you deserve a spot in the top 10. There's only 2 teams that have beat us, and both of them are in my top 10.
They also lost by 20 to the Spurs today, but.
Well, that was literally today. This list was.
To me, maybe I'm lower. I'm thinking lower of the Kings just because of my preseason bias of them, like the DeRozan trade not really moving the needle for them, just because they're not 3 of the same player, but it's 3 players that kind of score from the same or similar range.
Region of the court. Yeah, and that was my concern with them, is like they traded him for Harrison Barnes. Now, is DeMar DeRozan a better individual player? Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think the way he fits on this team, it's like, do we really want our 3 best players to only like take 2s most of the time?
Exactly.
And I think that's where I was kind of like, I don't know about that.
And so that's why I personally, I don't have them top 10. To me, I think you have them above what? The Grizzlies, you have them above the Mavs. To me, I think that's a little, they're 6-5. The 1 game win difference to me is not enough to say like, oh yeah, the Kings are a better team than the Mavericks. They're in sure, if you're just going off of like, oh, who are the top 10 teams sorted by standing? Sure, yeah, they're better. Are they actually?
No, it's not so much of that, but it's so much of the fact that the Kings have been able to get over the hump against better teams more consistently, aka the Phoenix Suns.
Okay. That's the only reason. That's literally the only reason you have them. It's because
that's why I would rank them above the Mavericks, because they can get it done against top better teams.
You're exactly like the AP poll voters with the SEC schools. You rank the teams that have beaten those teams, aka your Suns, higher so that the Suns look better. That's what it is. Yeah.
They have a higher win percentage against a better strength of schedule. That, to me, makes you a better team through the start of the season.
You also have the Lakers at 9, even though they're 7-3.
Yeah, but you guys didn't beat anybody.
We beat you. What are you talking about?
Once. Yeah, but that's why I have you in the top 10.
Okay. All right. That's the only
and
reason.
Because of LeBron.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Only reason. Anthony Davis leading in MVP voting. 2 unarguably top 15 players. Yeah, but that's
you and Sacramento were equals, but you have better players, so that's why you get the higher nod than Sacramento. Okay. That's why you're 9, they're 10.
Whatever. At 10, Cam, you were saying that the Grizzlies, we might not have them on either of our lists. I actually do. I do have the Grizzlies at number 10. So I that's why I didn't get super upset at your ranking. I thought your ranking was fine. Over the Lakers, I disagree with, but I do have the Grizzlies here at 10 because, again, this is what I expect with the Grizzlies being like having a healthy Ja Morant. This is what they can be, a really talented team. I don't think that 2 seed a couple seasons ago was a fluke. I think they were a legitimately good team that still needed to progress, and they got that progression hindered by the suspension and the injury, but you're starting to see it again. So I have them here at 10.
Ja Morant is indeed not fine in the West.
Okay, that's true.
Not fine in the West.
Yeah, that is true. He did lose in the first round to us. So
yeah, obviously I can't be mad at that because I had them at 8. So I mean that makes sense. For my number 10, I mean this is probably the only time we're gonna be top 10. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably gonna be the only time we're top 10. So I had to take the opportunity while I could to put them in here. I'm gonna put in the Houston Rockets, and I love that you put them number 7.
The worst ranking of the video. Worst ranking of the video. It is.
I didn't put them that high.
Way worse.
No, it's not.
I want to put them on here because one, they got the record. They can arguably compete with a lot of the guys around them. They've beat a lot of the guys who have a similar record. But I think the biggest thing is I think they're an elite defensive team, like very elite. I personally think they're probably one of the top 5 best defensive teams. But I think where their huge Achilles heel is and why they're going to fall later into the season is they can't shoot. Yep. They struggle to reach league average in most of their games. And the way they're winning games is literally making their opponent score less than they score. Arman Thompson is a phenomenal point of attack.
I believe they call that defense.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank
you for that. Thank you for that. Very insightful and useful comment in the middle of what I'm trying to say. I appreciate you so much. Anyway, as I was saying, Arman Thompson is a fantastic point of attack defender and a huge reason why we've been able to win games. Not being struggling to reach league average in shooting, but I think unless we can reach league average, we're going to struggle to win a lot of games that we should be winning. And so because of that, I have them at 10.
Because of that, you have them higher than they should be?
Yes, because they've beaten some
higher win percentage against a better strength of schedule.
Okay, exactly. if you just want to do the standings, okay, that's fine. That's not what this is.
It's not just the standings.
Who you beat.
I understand. Yeah. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not saying 10 was bad. I considered them for 10. Okay.
We beat the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, and we beat the Knicks. Now, the Knicks aren't this crazy good team, but they're still a really good team. They have Jalen Brunson. They have a very talented roster, and we were able to hold them to a lot less than what they are able to score.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I really expected the Knicks to be here. Like, if you told me that they weren't a top 10 team 3 weeks into the season, I would have thought you're crazy. But, I mean, I think that's like the biggest disappointment of this season, beyond, I guess, the Bucks, it has been the Knicks. Like, for them to not be in this power ranking for any of us, and they're in a weak Eastern Conference, that's crazy. Mikal Bridges has not been utilized in the way that we expected, and is not.
It messed
scoring.
him up. It changed his jumper.
I know. That's what I
don't know, whoever changed his jump shot deserves to be fired.
Yeah, that's what I said in the group chat after the first game.
Yeah.
I mean, our rankings were pretty different, but I think in general we had a lot of similar teams in our top 10s. We'll just have to see going forward whose is more accurate, I guess, and then we'll adjust as the season goes on. We might do this video again maybe in a month or two. We'll see. We'll check in. Definitely going to do one at the All-Star break. I want to do one at the All-Star break for sure, but we'll probably do another one or two in between that too. Especially if this video does well. We'll do it again pretty soon. So let us know if you want to see this type of video again from us. Us arguing, I think, is pretty entertaining. It's one of my favorite things to do. I know us talking over each other, especially like with the Discord, gets a little fuzzy. But hopefully it turned out pretty good for you guys and entertaining. As much as we love to yell at each other and argue, we're still great friends, and obviously all that, no hard feelings.
I guess, sure, yeah.
He's still mad I ranked the Suns at 5.
And my team wasn't even in the top 10. What the heck, Arman?
Bro, come on. Come on. We'll see you guys later in our next video. Bye. Oh, it's 11/11, the date. Okay.
Make a wish.
I'll wait till 11 p.m. 11 p.m.
11/11/11/11.
But the other 11, we missed it by 13 years. Well,
I was too busy playing Minecraft, probably.
Sounds like you.
What the hell? I was playing Minecraft too. You got a problem?
What is that?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Sounds good.
What does that mean?
Well, Arman used to play on Atari, so
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Sega Genesis.
Yeah, most of the old jokes aren't good. That was a really good one.
Arman was on an Atari. I had a PSP. We're not the same.
I had a PSP. What was y'all's like first consoles?
Oh, Wii.
Even before you got like a Game Boy or anything like that? Y'all never had a Game Boy?
I think
Well-
Game Boy was my first one for sure.
That wasn't. It was technically not mine. My sister had like a red Game Boy.
Hmm.
And like when she stopped caring about games, I inherited it and started playing with it. But I wouldn't really count that as my first system per se.
I think
Yeah.
my first one was a DS.
I was a DS kid. Used to
Yeah.
hide it under my pillow at night.
yeah, I did too.
I miss
Exactly.
PS2 days.
I never even had a PS2. I only got a
PS2 days
PS3.
were elite, bro. I used to play. I had a PS2 when RG3 was the cover of NCAA.
Yeah, of course. And now you're a trader.
Wow.
You're on Xbox, aren't you?
I went from PS2 to a
Bro, get the
PS3.
reversed one.
with
You should have had a Xbox up until PS like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I went backwards.
Yeah, he always likes the
Had a-
worst
I
one.
went-
he always likes to be on the losing team.
He always,
what can I say?
yeah, that's why he's a Drake fan too.
Yeah, facts.
All right, let's
because I have an Xbox.
yeah, let's get started. I'm putting this whole
All right.
conversation at the end, by the way.